Sports fans, this is Robert with WTP Sports Dudes. Here live, WTP Sports. Sorry about that. Here live on this Sunday morning, ready to talk some ACC over and under predictions for all 17 teams in that conference. We did our show yesterday on the Big 12, so if you get a chance, please go and check out that show we did yesterday. Today I got with me my man Post Game of Post Game Sports. How you feeling this morning, Post Game?
Man, feeling amazing and ready to talk some ACC football. Good morning.
Good morning. Good to see you this morning as well. We also got our man, my Condre in SEC land, SEC Shine. How you feeling this morning, my comrade? How you feeling?
Feeling good. Ready to break down the ACC a little bit, see what we come up with here. It's always good to be joined with you two fine gentlemen. And, I try to throw some knowledge out there, and then when in doubt, I just shut up and let you two take care so I look smart.
That's a good way to go. Do y'all feel like it's odd that the ACC has 17 teams and not an even number?
Yeah, but I think you have to take into the fact that Notre Dame is an unofficial team since they play an ACC schedule. So I think that's probably where you get the 17, because with Notre Dame 18, it makes it more balanced.
That makes sense. That makes sense. Well, let's go ahead and get right on into what we want to talk about today. We want to talk about the over and under on these teams that are in the ACC. Their over and under win totals. Will they go up? Will they reach the over? Will they fall in the under category? We're going to check that out, and we're all going to give our predictions on where we think these teams are going to land. Are they going to reach the over, or are they going to be under? Let's go ahead and get with our first team, which is Boston College. Let's look at Boston College. Hopefully everyone can see their schedule. You might need to maximize that just a little bit, SEC Sean, and see if it can be a little clearer for us. But I like that.
I maximized it as best I can right now.
Okay.
So hopefully on the stream they can see it.
Cool. Welcome to the show, Nicken. We appreciate you joining us this morning. Hello to you. Well, let's look at Boston College. Their over and under is 3.5. Do you see anywhere on their schedule where they get to 4 wins? Because right now, all I got them winning against is Rutgers and Maine. What say you two? We're going to start with you, SEC, Sean.
No, I mean, it's going to take some serious breaks from somebody like maybe a Duke. But I really only see 2 on here as well. I see Rutgers and Maine. You could possibly get to 3, but I don't even know if that's going to happen. But I have to take the under on this.
What about you, Post Game?
Yeah, I'm super taking the under, fellas. I don't even think they can beat Rutgers. I don't even think they can beat Rutgers with KJ Duff at wide receiver. That's going to be a tough game for them. Maybe they can pick off Maine, but SMU, Virginia Tech, Cincinnati, Pittsburgh, Georgia Tech, Duke, Florida State, Notre Dame, Syracuse, Miami. They better hope and pray they can get 1 victory with this schedule.
Yeah, I'm hoping for Boston College, because I don't think they're going to reach the over at all. I can only see them possibly getting 1 win this season, and that's against Maine, as you said, post game. But what I want to see happen at Boston College, and I'm going to be praying hard on it, is that my former student, TJ Green, who plays defensive back for Boston College, has a phenomenal season in his sophomore year, and he gets an opportunity to go to Florida State or somewhere like that. I'm saying Florida State because his dad is a huge Florida State fan, and I want him to be able to have an opportunity to go play at a really good Power 4 school. It's a really big name brand when it comes to football. Not that Boston College is a slouch. We just know in this era NIL, they're really not going to be that successful in college football, being a team called Boston College. So I just hope that works out for him. Next up, we got Stanford. Stanford was the team that came in at number 16 for us when we did our prediction show. Their over and under is also 3.5. And only 2 wins that I see that they could possibly get is Hawaii and Elon. But I know SEC Sean is high on Hawaii and the fact that we know that they're going to throw the ball all over the field and score a lot of points. Post game, what's your thoughts on Stanford? Can they get over 3.5 wins?
It's going to be really tough. Like I said on previous podcasts, I love the addition of Andrew Luck coming back to his alma mater. I think in time he'll have Stanford where they need to be, but I just don't think it's this season, Rob. You look at their schedule, Hawaii can be a tough game, first game of the season, and they're at home. Hawaii's going to throw the ball all over the field. Then Miami, Duke, Georgia Tech, Wake. Elon might be a victory. NC State, Louisville, Virginia Tech, Cal. This is extremely tough ask for Stanford to meet the over. I think they're going to hit the under this season.
Yeah, I mean, Hawaii beat them last year. So I'm going to assume Hawaii's probably going to beat them again this year because I'm, like you said, I'm high on Hawaii. I think they get Elon. This could be a 1-win team this year. Seriously, that schedule's not a joke. I mean, you've got to go all the way across the country to Duke. You've got to go to Louisville, all the way across to Virginia Tech. I mean, there's some crazy travel for Stanford this year. So I think Stanford's going to seriously struggle. It could be a 2-win if they can catch Hawaii and Elon, but other than that, I don't see it. I see it way under.
Yeah, I see it way under as well. I mean, they might get that 1 win against Elon, but that might be it because we all know that Hawaii is going to throw that ball all over the field and they're going to be relentless at it. And all it takes is a couple of breaks here and there and they break a big one. I really feel like if you're a Stanford football player, that's a game where if you're a defensive back or you're a pass rusher, you got a chance to go ahead and put some really good tape out there to show other teams that, listen, we got a smart guy over here at Stanford who was an academic genius, but we also got a football player. You might want him on your Power 4 squad by the time he's a junior or senior, and hopefully that young man can find him a good landing spot, make him a couple of dollars, and then go on and have a beautiful life afterwards. But outside of that, that's all I see Stanford doing. But I do agree with you post-game. Andrew Luck will have an opportunity to really get Stanford back on the map. I think he's a really brilliant human being. He's always been in circles where he can bring about some change at Stanford. I think his father's always been that way as well. I think that's a really smart move by Stanford if they want to get back to playing really good competitive football. Next up, we got North Carolina. They came in 15 on our list, and their over and under is 4.5. They got ETSU at Duke, Syracuse at UConn, at Virginia, and they go to NC State. Out of those games, and we see their schedule on the board, that's a really nice graphic there, SEC, Sean. Do we see any of those on their schedule that where they can get to 5 wins? I think this is very possible for North Carolina. We're going to start with you, SEC, Sean. Do you see them getting to 5 wins?
They would have to get a swing game here or there. East Tennessee State, I say that. UConn they should beat. So that's, 2. Duke is a swing game 3. I don't see any other wins, to be honest with you. I mean, I just don't see it. Maybe if they get Syracuse, they could get to 4, but I don't see them getting to 5. So I see them as a 4-8 team is what I'm going to have North Carolina at.
Post game, what Bill Belichick going to do? He got to be able to upset somebody out of those 6 teams I just named. Do you think Bill Belichick and North Carolina gets to 5 wins?
That's a really great question entering the college football season. It's like, how much do you believe in Bill Belichick? Is Bill Belichick truly the greatest coach? Can that version of Bill Belichick translate to the college football game? It's a lot different from the NFL. Man, that first game of the season in Ireland against TCU is going to tell us a whole lot about this North Carolina team. You would think if anything else, North Carolina will be really stout on defense, but that remains to be seen. They got some transfer portal additions, but I don't see it. I think this is going to be Bill Belichick's last year at North Carolina, and he's going to hang it up after this season. I just don't see it, man. I expect the ACC to be a little bit better than they were last year. I see teams like Syracuse, Pitt, Virginia, Louisville, and even the NC State, Miami, of course. I don't think they get there, man.
Yeah, me neither. I don't got them going there either. I got them winning maybe 4 games if they can pull out one of those swing games, as SEC Sean said, and that's going to be hard to do too because I can see them getting maybe 2 wins, but can they pop Syracuse? Can they pop a Virginia? Can they pop a Duke? I don't know if they can get 2 of those teams that are on their schedule. I definitely don't think that they're going to be able to get NC State unless NC State has a rash of injuries that keep them from being at their best. But I don't think so. I really feel like you do as well post game that he probably will consider moving on if they don't have a successful season, because I just don't think that anyone else will probably bring him in to their coaching staff, and he wouldn't want to go and be somebody's assistant. He's a head coach guy, so I don't think that will be what he would do. So I think he will probably hang it up too after this season. The good thing is he hasn't really been in the news about the young girlfriend this year. So, well, maybe I just haven't been paying attention.
Let me say one thing. You mentioned it post game about that trip to Ireland against TCU. We're going to find out something about TCU in that game too. That's going to be, if North Carolina beats them, we may have to be like taking a step back on what we think of TCU and also North Carolina. So it's going to be a swing game either way, but it's going to be interesting to watch.
Let me ask you a question real quick when it comes to this game in Ireland or even any of the overseas games that they have. We've seen the last few years, whenever the teams have gone over there, it has rained, and it's made for a pretty boring and uninteresting game because the rain has been so bad for the teams. Would you like to see places like that possibly have a dome for these kind of conditions? Now, of course, if it's not raining, we know it's football, and football is played in all kinds of conditions. But I think when those teams go overseas, and we saw it last year when TCU and Iowa State played, I think it was TCU and it was Kansas State and Iowa State. It just was an ugly game, man, and it seemed like those players wasn't even interested because of maybe the weather conditions. Do you think those places should try to find a dome for them to play in?
Would be nice. I think, I'm not a huge fan of overseas games, especially for openers for teams. But if they're going to do it, I would like to see them play in the dome. Now, I don't know how that works financially or if they even have venues like that overseas for these college football teams to play. But I like the idea. I know it gets messy over there. The field gets a mess. I don't think we get the best product when the field is destroyed like that, but I agree. I definitely would like to see something like that.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not a big fan of overseas anyway. The NFL, I get. I'm not a big fan of it for college. I mean, I think that's asking too much. I know nowadays these kids are paid and all that. They're like employees, but I'm not a fan of it. But if they're going to keep doing it, yeah, I mean, I don't know who needs to fund it. I don't know if it's the NCAA would need to fund it for this, considering they could call it the safety of their players. But if you're going to build a dome, say in Ireland, you're going to have to play there every year. You're not going to move this game around because we're not going to spend $20 million, $50 million to make a dome and then go to like England the next year. So I don't know. I'm not a big fan of the overseas games anyway. But I mean, they seem to be here to stay.
Yeah, and if it did come down to somebody, and I think somebody's been going over there to play in Ireland every year, I would like at some point maybe because I think most of their fans are they Notre Dame fans over there in Ireland post game.
Yeah, there are definitely some Irish fans over there for sure.
Yeah, I would like to maybe if they were able to work something out with Notre Dame to have them come every year and play somebody over there. That would be pretty cool. But I would like to see them get a dome as well. The legendary Romero, my parlay all conference, 8+ wins. Iowa, Ole Miss, 9+ wins. Ohio State, Iowa and Ole Miss, 9+ wins. Maybe I'm reading that wrong. Let me see.
It's here.
8 wins, Iowa, Ole Miss, 9 wins, Ohio State, 10 wins, BYU, Georgia, Miami. Woo! That's a nice little parlay you got there. It's a nice little parlay. We did BYU yesterday. We had BYU somewhere around 11-1, 10-2. So you might push right there if they only get 10 wins because I think you need them to get 11 to win, right? Yeah. So hopefully that all works out for you, the legendary Romero. Let's go to
unless his parlay is 9.5 with BYU,
9.5.
He just needs 10.
Yeah.
So I mean, I'd have to look at what site he did, but it looks like a pretty good parlay. I'm going to tell you right now, as somebody who does gamble, Georgia could be iffy getting to 10. Georgia could drop 2 games in that new schedule. So, that's the minimums.
Oh, okay. Okay. Yeah. We're glad you in the house. One take, Zaya. We appreciate you, bro. Let's go to Duke. Duke came in at 14 in our prediction show out of this ACC conference. Their over and under is 5.5. And they're at Illinois, at Georgia Tech. They got North Carolina. They got North Carolina State. They're at Miami, Clemson, at Virginia. Those are probably the games that they're probably going to lose. Do you see them getting the 6 wins with the rest of their schedule? Let's start with you, post game.
Yeah, the more and more I look at this Duke team, the more and more I like them. I truly do. I know a few weeks ago I wasn't as high on them, but again, the more I look at them, the better I like them. It all starts with their running back, and that is Nate Shepard, who had a big year last year. And I know they lose the transfer quarterback Darian Mensah to Miami, but this kid from San Jose State, Walker Eget, he can spin it a little bit, and him being in that Duke system might do him wonders. So I'm a little bit higher on Duke than I was coming a little earlier in the preseason, but they do have a tough schedule. I think they do get the 6 wins. They might even get the 7.
I'm with you on that post game. I'm getting a little bit more likeness for Duke. Tulane, Stanford, William and Mary, they should win those three. North Carolina, rivalry game. We'd see what happens there. That'd be 4. Wake Forest would be 5. I mean, they're going to have to find another win somewhere. Wake Forest is a swing game for me. I still think they're going to be. I don't think they get to 6. I think they're 5 and 7 is what I see.
Yeah, I think they get to 6 too. I think they got 4 wins on their schedule for sure. I think they beat Wake Forest, but I think they could get a Virginia or they could get a North Carolina. Actually, could probably get both of them and get the 6 wins. So I'm going to get them the over. I think they can get to that point. And I think by the time the end of the season rolls around, and I know that Illinois game is going to be a really good test for them going to Champaign to play Illinois. But I feel like as the season goes along, their defense will get better, their offense will get better, and they might have an opportunity to beat somebody like Virginia, even though they're going on the road, and North Carolina. So I can see them getting to 6 wins, but I only got them at 6 and 6. Let's take a look at Wake Forest, who came in at number 13 on our list. Their over and under is also 5.5. And the games that we expect them to possibly win are Akron, Purdue, Stanford, Merrimack. Merrimack, who is that? T1, you better not never say nothing about SEC teams playing Mercer and teams like that anymore, because Wake Forest got Merrimack on their schedule and Virginia. Those are 5 games that I feel like they can win. Is there a 6 win on there to help them get over the hump? We're going to start off with you, SEC, Sean.
Yeah, I mean, I can see 6. Wake Forest is one of those teams that if you got to go to Wake Forest and play, it's just they get somebody. Whether it's a last-second field goal, something, they step up there. I could see them getting to 6. Akron, Purdue, potentially, Merrimack. They better beat Merrimack, because I don't even know who Merrimack. If they lose to Merrimack, you might as well just cancel the whole season. You're done. Good. Duke. So they're going to have to catch a couple teams, but I think they can get to 6. I really do. It's going to be tough, but I think they can pull it off.
My goodness, man. I mean, I feel like Wake Forest lost their best players in the transfer portal over the summer or this past season. They lost a lot of talent, and I think they won't have the element of surprise this year. Now, they do have a couple players who can make plays, but I don't see it this year. I think Wake Forest is going to have a down year. I think teams are going to be prepared and not overlook this Wake Forest team, and I think they fall to the bottom of the barrel in the ACC.
Yeah, I think Wake Forest can get those 5 wins that I named earlier. And it might be one game on their schedule where they play at home, because their stadium is right in the heart of a neighborhood. And I feel like if it's one of those games, a team that they're pretty close to evenly matched with, that come into their stadium, they can pack that thing out, because it's not that very big of a stadium, and they could probably get that win and get the 6. But I got them at 5 and 7. I don't think they're going to get to 6 wins, in my opinion. But my thing is, how did the conversation happen? This is Merrimack on the line. Wake Forest, we like to schedule a game with you. They like, who? Merrimack's on the line. Can we get a game? Oh yeah, of course. That's an easy win. We can only give you $5 and a pack of hot dogs. You know what I'm saying? Because we can't pay you. But anyway, let's go on to the next team. We got Syracuse at 12. And every year we've been watching college football, Syracuse gets somebody up there in that Carrier Dome, and they beat them. Now, I only see three wins on their schedule: New Hampshire, UConn, Boston College. Their over and under is 4.5. Do y'all see 2 other wins on their schedule where they can get to 5? Because I don't see it, but maybe you do, and we're going to start with you post game.
Yeah, man. What can I say? I love Fran Brown. I love the head coach of Syracuse. I think he's the right man for this job. I think having Steve Angeli healthy at the quarterback position, along with the weapons they were able to get at the wide receiver position, I think Syracuse is going to hit the over. I know they have a tough schedule when you talk about the ACC, and they face Notre Dame the last game of the season. But I think Syracuse can be around 7 or 8 wins this year. I think they're going to exceed expectations. I love Steve and Jelly. Peanut butter and jelly is what we used to call them. But I mean, before this guy went out with the season for the season, or at least to the last game of the season last year, Syracuse was rolling with him at quarterback. I mean, he was really slicing and dicing up defenses. And I think that's all Fran Brown was waiting for, is for his quarterback to be healthy. I think Syracuse is going to hit the over this year.
100% agree. As long as Angeli stays healthy, I see them hitting the over. 7, 8 wins, somewhere in that range is where I could see him. Fran Brown, he seems like the perfect coach for that team. And like Post said with Angeli, I mean, go back and watch what this guy was doing last year. And he was just, teams couldn't stop Syracuse's offense. Now, Syracuse going to have to find some defense. But if their defense is like it was last year, you might want to go ahead and just take the over in every Syracuse game because they're going to score. So I see them going over for sure.
Well, I think they can get to 4 wins for sure because I think they can beat Cal at home in the Carrier Dome. But they also get, I think they get SMU, Louisville there. They get SMU there, and they get Clemson there. I know Clemson is going to be after they tail because they beat them last year. Out of those teams, I think they get the 4 because I think they can definitely get not Pitt, somebody at home, Cal at home. But, man, I don't see them getting to 5 wins. I think they're going into season 4-8. I'm going under on Syracuse. Next, we got Cal, a team that we just mentioned that I think that Syracuse can beat at home in the Carrier Dome. Their over and under is 6.5. Can they get to 7 wins? When you look at their schedule, can they get UCLA? Can they get Wagner? Can they get Syracuse? Can they get Wake Forest? Can they get Stanford? That can give them 5 wins there. Do they got 2 other wins on their schedule? We're going to start with you, SEC, Sean. Can the Cal Bears get to 7 wins?
I like Cal's quarterback. I'm not going to even try to pronounce the kid's name. I've mentioned him on stream before. What they're trying to get to 6 or 7, Rob. I'm sorry.
They're trying to get to 7.
I don't see 7, though. I think UCLA is going to be much improved. Syracuse, we just spoke about Wagner. They should beat Wagner. I don't see him getting Clemson. UNLV is going to be a good team. That's going to be a group of 5 team to watch. So I'm not going to pencil that one in. I don't see it. I just see the under. I like their quarterback a lot, but I just see the under coming out of California this year.
Yeah, I do as well, SEC Sean. I think Coach Lupi, I'm sorry if I butchered your name. I'm not even going to attempt to name the quarterback. I'm just going to call him JKS. JKS is a nice quarterback. I think he's going to cut down on his interceptions. He had 9 last year. I think California is on the upward trajectory, but I don't think they're going to do it this year. I think, teams like UNLV is going to be a tough matchup. Clemson is going to be tough if we think they're going to be as good as they could be. Syracuse, UCLA, Tech is going to be improved. This is a rough patch for the California Bears. And then having SMU, is Virginia going to be as good as they were last year or better? We don't know that. NC State is a team I really like in the preseason. So I think Cal is going to be a much better team. They're going to be competitive in these games, but I think they're not going to get the job done. So I'm going under.
Yeah, I feel like Cal was going to be under as well. I think there's no way they're getting to 7 wins, man. I just don't see it. I mean, if you look at their schedule, they might get they're going to get Wagner, might get Syracuse, might get Wake Forest, they'll get Stanford. But I really only see maybe 2 or 3 wins on this schedule. And people believe that they can get UCLA, Wagner, Syracuse, Wake Forest, and Stanford to get to 5 wins. I just don't see 2 other wins on their schedule. I got the Cal Bears probably going 3-9, 4-8 at best. The odds makers got them at 6.5. Maybe they know something I don't, but I don't see it. At number 10, we came in with Florida State, our man Mossberg of Level Up Sports 10's team. They got them at an over and under of 6.5. People believe they're going to lose to SMU, Alabama, at Louisville, at Miami, Clemson, and then at Pitt. That's 6 losses on their schedule, putting them at 6-6. Do you think that there's a game that I just mentioned that Florida State could get to 7 wins? Because right now it looks like they're going to be 6-6, and at 6-6, will Norville save his job? We're going to start with you post game.
Yeah, man. Florida State is probably the toughest team to handicap in the preseason. Man, I'm a huge Deuce Robinson fan. I think that kid is amazing. Has all the goods to be a dominant wide receiver. I expect big things from him. It's going to depend on that defense and Ashton Daniels. Can Ashton Daniels get the job done at the quarterback position? I like your guy, Q Wisner from Texas, transferring over. I think he brings stability to that running back room. But Florida State this is a really tough, tall task for them to hit over 6. SMU right off the barrel after New Mexico State. Alabama, I don't think they're going to upset Alabama. They could, but I doubt it. And then Louisville, this is crazy. Miami, Clemson could be much improved. This is a tall task for Florida State. Now, they could surprise us and be a dominant team, maybe even win the ACC, or they could be at the bottom of the barrel in the ACC. Florida State is so tough to handicap, but I think I got them right around 6 wins. I don't think they'll hit the over.
Yeah, Florida State probably got the worst draw of schedules. If you look at the way we ranked the teams, they play the top 4 teams we ranked in the ACC. And then they close the year with Florida, which I expect Florida to be much improved. And by that point, Florida will be kind of, I think, rolling, kicking on all cylinders there. I don't see a 7-win season. I could potentially get 6, but I don't see him getting the over. And I hate it because Robinson, you mentioned post game. I'm really excited to see what the defensive end Rylan Kennedy transfer from Texas A&M can do, because that kid had some flashes at A&M. I expect big things from him out there at Florida State. So we'll see. But I just think it's going to be the under for Florida State this year.
I'm taking the over on this. I think they're going to get right at 7 wins because I think that they can beat Pitt. Even though they're going on the road, I think they're going to beat Pitt when they face them, and that will get them their 7th win. I don't think that they're going to beat Florida, though. I think at that time, Florida will be in a really good position and playing some really good football if they're healthy. I really feel like Florida State will have a really good running game if their offensive line can create the gaps that they need. They got a two-headed monster at running back in Trey Wisner and the other young fella. I don't want to mess up his name. And then I think you got Deuce Robinson out there on the edge who you're going to have to account for him. I really feel like they can get to 7 wins, but I don't know if 7 wins is enough to save Norval's job. It might, because I don't know who else is out there to take over that job, or maybe they have somebody on their staff that could. But 7 wins is the highest I think that they can get to. But 6 wins is probably more realistic. But I got them going to over. I got them getting to 7 wins. At number 9, we got Virginia. Their over and under is 7.5. And they have them beating teams or losing to teams like Florida State, SMU, Duke, Wake Forest, Virginia Tech, and North Carolina. If Virginia is losing to North Carolina, there is no way they're getting the 8 wins. Do y'all see this Virginia team as an 8-4 team? We're going to start with you, SEC Sean.
No, I don't. NC State, I think, gets them. They'll beat Norfolk State. West Virginia, we expect West Virginia to be a decent squad, so that's going to be a tough one. Delaware, they should beat the Blue Hens. Florida State's a swing game. Syracuse, I think they dropped to Syracuse. SMU, Duke. I don't know that I see 8 wins on here, though. That's the catch. I think they're 7-5. Could get a swing game and get to 8, but I like the under. I like 7 here.
Yeah, I'm with you on this, SEC, Sean. I don't see it. I don't expect Virginia to be as competitive as they were in the ACC last year. I'm not huge on Bo Perbula transferring over. I think he's okay, but he just turns the ball over too much for my liking. I think Virginia will definitely hit the under this year. I mean, I expect the ACC to be a lot better, fellas. I don't think they gonna hit the over.
Yeah, I don't see Virginia creeping up on the ACC this season. I think there's going to be some teams out there that they put a nasty taste in their mouth last year that's going to want some revenge this year. The best I see Virginia doing is 6-6. I don't see them getting to 7-5, 6-6 a bowl game. Get those 15 practices in and get ready for the next season. But 6-6 is the best I can see them doing at Virginia this year. There's no way I can see them getting to 8 games. Next, at number 8, we got Pitt. The Pitt Panthers, their over and unders also 7.5. And most people think they're going to beat Miami of Ohio, UCF, Syracuse, Bucknell, North Carolina, Boston College, Florida State, and Cal. Do you see them beating all of those teams and getting to at least 8-4? We're going to start with you, SEC, Sean.
I think I mean, when you talk about this Pittsburgh team, I really like their quarterback, Mason Heinschel. I think he's going to take another step this year. Will Pittsburgh compete for the ACC championship? I don't think so, but I think they'll be a little bit better than people expect. They lost a lot of talent in the transfer portal. Rob, I know you know that better than anybody getting Biles over from Pittsburgh. They also lost Francis Brew to Notre Dame. I love Mason Heinschel, but I don't think they'll compete for a ACC championship. I think they'll be in the thick of things. I think they'll be right there. But at the end of the day, I like Louisville better. I like Miami better, and I might even like Clemson better than Virginia this year or Pittsburgh this year. So I'm going to say, man, I don't even know if they can beat Syracuse or Vatech, but solid team. I think they'll be good on defense. I think their quarterback play will be good, but I don't think they'll hit. What was their over under?
7.5.
7.5. Man, I got them hitting the under just slightly. I think they'll be around 7 wins.
What about you, SEC Sean? What you think about this Pitt Panther team? You might be froze, SEC Sean. We'll come back to him and get his take on the Pitt Panthers. I feel like if they can beat Florida State, they can get to 8 wins. But otherwise, I only see them getting the 7 wins. I think they get Miami of Ohio. I think they get UCF. I think they get Syracuse. I think they get Bucknell. I think they get North Carolina. They get Boston College and Cal. I think they beat all 7 of those teams. The one that they have to win to get to the over is going to have to be Florida State, because the other 4 teams on their schedule, they are not beating them. So hopefully they will be able to do that and get the 8 wins. But I'm going to take the under. I'm going to say that they only finish the season 7-5, under the 8-win total that they need for the over. At number 7, we got NC State. NC State has been one of the SEC Sean is back. Give us your thoughts on Pitt real quick, SEC Sean.
I was saying I'm with Post. I think they're right on the edge. I've got them just under at 7-5, but they're tough. I mean, Syracuse should be the only swing with Syracuse I see is that they don't have to go to the Carrier Dome to play, or whatever that stadium is called now. But I think Pitt's going to have a pretty good defense. We're just going to have to play, but I've got Pitt as under.
Yeah, at number 7, we got the North Carolina State Wolfpack there. Their over and under is 6.5. And they got Richmond, App State, Wake Forest, Stanford, Cal, Duke, and Syracuse, all as teams that they can win against. Do we see NC State getting there? Because I think over the last couple of years, we have been high on NC State to finish better than what they have. They've had injuries. They haven't quite fared so well. I believe Hollywood Smothers is from NC State, so they lose that dynamic running back to Texas. What's your thoughts on NC State? I think that they can get the 7 wins. What about you, SEC Sean? Do you see NC State getting the 7 wins?
Well, first off, everybody in the chat, get used to it when you watch our streams. Anytime Rob can make notice to a Texas player,
that's a fact.
So 7 wins, what we need. Let me look through this. Yeah, I think I'm going to take the over on NC State. I think they get to 7. Probably 8 actually. So I'm going to take the over on NC State. I know they lost Smothers, but still got a really good quarterback over there. I can't even think of the kid's name right offhand, and I feel dumb for that. But I think North Carolina State hits the over.
I agree with you on this, SEC Sean. I think NC State is going to hit the over. Look at this schedule. Virginia, Richmond, Vanderbilt could be down this year. Appalachian State, Louisville would be a tough matchup. I don't expect much from Wake Forest or Stanford. California is going to be improved, but these are all winnable games. All of these games are winnable for the Wolfpack, and I like CJ Bailey a lot. I think their schedule plays out well for them, bodes well for them. They could be a team where at the end of the year, due to their schedule, they're right on the cusp of making a playoff or getting a playoff berth. But they'll be one of those teams that get exposed if they make it because this is a manageable schedule. And then if they mess around and win the ACC title game, yeah, I like the over for NC State this year. I think they're going to crush it.
Yeah, I like the over for NC State as well. I think they definitely get to at least 7 wins to get the over. I really think they're going to finish the season 8-4. I think that they got a really good enough quarterback to win some games, especially to beat those games that they should win, like against Richmond, App State, Wake Forest, Stanford, Syracuse, Cal, maybe even Duke. So I think that they got a chance, and I think they got something to prove too, because the last few years, I know for myself, I've been pretty high on NC State because we didn't really know what Miami was 2-3 years ago. Now we know what they are, but 2 or 3 years ago, we didn't know what they were. We really didn't know what Florida State was 2 or 3 years ago. We thought Clemson was going to be the team that was going to run things, but it really appears like SMU has been the best team in this conference the last couple of years. Now, of course, Miami went on their run last year, so you can throw them into that discussion. But outside of SMU, they really hasn't been anybody else that can say, hey, man, we've gone – only lost 2 games in our 2 years in this conference. So I think NC State has something to prove this year. Hopefully they can get the 8 wins. I think they will. So I'm taking the over on NC State.
So post game, real quick, Rob. Post game, you mentioned their schedule. This is just something that popped out when post game mentioned that I looked through it. Out of the top 6 teams that we ranked in the ACC, they play 1. Everybody else is the bottom half. So for all the haters, that's Texas A&M schedule last year. So I just thought that's odd that they only play 1 of the top 6. So just want to throw that.
Yeah, they have definitely got blessed by the scheduling gods to get that kind of schedule. At 6, we got Georgia Tech. And we know Georgia Tech has been one of those really good, gritty teams that we've had to watch the last couple of seasons. They don't have their Superman anymore, but they do get the running back from Michigan who transferred there this year, who was really leading the country in rushing until he got hurt, was up front for the Heisman as well. Will Georgia Tech be able to run the ball like they have the last couple of seasons? They got Tennessee, Virginia Tech, Clemson, and Georgia on their schedule. Those are probably 4 losses. They're over and under 6.5. Out of the rest of their 8 games, can they get 7 wins out of there? What's your thoughts on that one, SEC Sean?
Just looking through it, I mean, I think they get Colorado. That's going to be the swing I'm watching right there. They'll lose to Mercer, Stanford. They need to get to 7. No, I've got 6-6. I'm going to have to take the under. I think they're going to take a step back. I know they got the running back. Was it Justice Hayes from Michigan, right? But, man, you lose your all everything in Haynes King. And that's not somebody you just replace. So I'm going to go 6-6 with Georgia Tech and take the under.
Man, this is a really difficult team to handicap as well. I don't think their schedule is too brutal. I can see them beating Colorado, Mercer, Stanford, maybe Duke, maybe Wake Forest. They're going to definitely lose to Louisville, maybe even Clemson. Man, the ACC is such a tough call. But they get Fernando, or not Fernando, but his little brother, Alberto Mendoza. So Does he have the goods like his brother? I don't think so. I love the Justice Haynes get. I think he's a monster at the running back position. They're going to pop a couple people just because Brent Key is so keen on that running game and they love to rush, and they going to pop a team or two. Man, over under 6. I think they finish with 7. I'm going to hit the over.
Yeah, I think Georgia Tech is going to be over. I mean, you know that Georgia Tech is going to run the football really well. The scheme that they have, the question for me is, are they going to be able to stop anybody defensively? And I think outside of Tennessee, Virginia Tech, Clemson, and Georgia, they should be able to do what they need to do to beat those other teams. I got them actually going to be 8-4 this season, definitely 7-5. So I'm taking an over on Georgia Tech, and I'm really excited to see what Justice Haynes will do in this offense if he stays healthy. Now, I know Michigan ran him quite a bit last year before he got injured. He was really basically all Michigan's offense up until that point that he got injured. Will Georgia Tech run him to the point where, he going to have way too much mileage on him? And I hope that's not the case. But we know Georgia Tech and how they ran their quarterback, Haynes King, last year. He's going to probably be the guy now this year. So hopefully Georgia Tech can get to those 7 wins to do the over, which I think they will. But I'll be watching that team pretty closely because I want to see what they're up to. At number 5, we came in with Virginia Tech. And their over and under is 7.5, which means the people out here who set these lines, they feel like Georgia Tech is going to be a much improved team up under their new coach, James Franklin. They got Clemson, SMU, and Miami on their schedule as the only games that some people feel like they will lose. That means they're going to end up 9-3. Do y'all see Virginia Tech being 9-3 at the end of the season? And we'll start with you, post game.
Man, tough call. Tough call. I think James Franklin is going to rebuild this program and get this program to where it was. At least when I was a younger man, Virginia Tech was always right there. But, I mean, I think it might take some time. I do like their schedule. Their schedule is very manageable. But I think I still they'll get 8 or 9 wins, but I don't think they'll be competing for an ACC title. I think James Franklin in his first year is going to have a really good year, but I don't think they're going to compete for the ACC championship. So I think they'll be at 8 wins.
I'm going 9. This is, in my mind, this is going to be one of the stories of the beginning of the season. I believe Virginia Tech starts 6-0. I believe they run the left-hand side of that bracket 6-0. I think they beat Pitt, and Maryland could give them a little issue with that quarterback up there, but I think they're 6-0, and then I think they can split the last 3. I think they can pop a Georgia Tech. I think they can get Stanford, and I think they can beat Virginia. So that puts them at 9-3, and a great story for college football. So I'm going to take 9-3. Yeah, I got them over.
Yeah, I think they got a manageable schedule. But when it comes to the scheduling gods and scheduling them going to Clemson, who is a top 4 team in the ACC, in our opinion, at SMU and at Miami, all 3 of those teams are top 4 teams, in our opinion, in this conference. And you got to go on the road to play all of them. But I feel like you do, SEC shot. I think they can win those first 6 games. And I think they can pull out another 2 wins on the remainder of that schedule to get to at least 8-4. I think they're actually going to end up being 9-3. I only see them losing to Clemson, SMU, and Miami. And I think there's a chance that they could even beat Clemson if at the end of the season, Clemson had a couple of hiccups, and they're just not playing the way we expect them to play. We know they sort of seem like they go into their shell, and when they're not playing well and they just can't get it right. Hopefully that won't be the case for Clemson, but we've seen it in the past. So I think they're going to finish the season 9-3. Let me ask you this question before we go to our next team. How soon will we see a Virginia Tech and Penn State matchup? We're going to start with you post game.
Oh, Virginia Tech and Penn State. Uh, Probably as soon as these teams can make the playoffs. I don't think it'll be this year. I don't think we'll see that matchup this year, but down the road, I can see that. I definitely think James Franklin is that type of dude who wants to get his get back against his old team. I don't think they should have fired him, but they felt like he probably reached his ceiling. So I think some in the next 2 or 3 years, we'll definitely see that matchup.
I'm gonna go on a limb, and you're gonna see it this year in a bowl game because I know how the scheduling gods like to work. Just, Rob, you know as well as I do. Anytime they can match Texas and Texas A&M up, they do it, right?
Yep.
You're going to tell me that these bowl people aren't going to look and go, yeah, that's the matchup we want, because they know eyes are going to be tuned in. So I'm going to put it this year because I think both of them are going to be bowl eligible, pretty decent, high up. We got Virginia Tech at an 8-9 win team, decent bowl game, kind of where I'm thinking Penn State could be. So I'm going to say we get the matchup this year in a bowl game.
Yeah, that's a really good take, SEC Sean. I really feel like the scheduling guys, they see storylines and they try to do everything they can to get this storyline produced and published and all that. So I think for sure in the next 2 years, if they don't meet in the bowl game, which I think that is very, very likely now that you mention that, because I think their records are going to be very similar and they're probably going to fall in that range where you could probably get that matchup. But I definitely believe in the next 2 years or so, we're going to see that matchup, especially if James Franklin is still at Virginia Tech. I think that's going to happen for sure. Number 4, we got Clemson. They're over and under 7.5. Their big games are LSU, Miami, Duke, South Carolina, Virginia Tech. Do you see the Clemson Tigers getting to 8 wins with that schedule? At LSU, they get Miami at home. They go to Duke. They got South Carolina the last game of the season, and they go to Virginia Tech. Do y'all see them getting to 8 wins? Let's start with you, SEC Shaw.
I do. I think they get. Let me see. I got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I've got them at 9-3. Is what I've got Clemson at. I think their schedule is very, very favorable. They dodge SMU. I mean, they get Miami, but they dodge SMU. They dodge Louisville. So, to me, they got a pretty manageable schedule. We're going to see how Clemson rebounds. It's been a while since we've seen Clemson with 8 next to them at the over and under range. So we're going to see how Clemson rebounds this year and see what happens. But I can see 9 wins on this schedule.
Yeah, man. I mean, Clemson is interesting. I think they're going to start the season off with a loss, but I think they'll quickly rebound. And that Miami game on October 3rd is going to be interesting. But the back half of the schedule looks really manageable. To me, it's going to come down to, can Clemson run the ball? They bring back a lot of players. They got a lot of guys that was waiting in the cut, waiting in the wings to get their opportunity. Bryant Westco is going to be an alien this year. I really like him at the wide receiver position. The thing that worries me a little bit about Clemson is, Chris Vizina, their starting quarterback. He's been waiting in the wing, for the last few years to get his opportunity to start. Now he gets that opportunity. I love the fact that they bring back Chad Morris as their offensive coordinator, who had a lot of success with Clemson. So I mean, it's Clemson got to be able to run the ball, and so they can make it comfortable for Vizina in the passing game. They got to run the ball, but this is a manageable schedule. I mean, I can see losses against LSU, Miami. That's about it. If Clemson is the team we think they can be, I mean, I know I like the under, a week or two ago, but man, just looking at this schedule, and we don't know what type of team South Carolina is going to be. They got a lot of talent, though. Man, I'm with you, SEC. I'm gonna say 8 wins. I think they'll get 8.
Yeah, I think they get the over as well, but we've watched this Clemson team the last several years. The first game of the season, a couple of years ago, they got smashed by Georgia. They came back and made the college football playoffs. Last year, I believe they had a pretty weak showing against LSU last year in that first game. I think they're going to start slow again this year, but I think they're going to get it together. And by the time we get to October, they're going to be playing a little bit better football. I think they could possibly get South Carolina, and I believe they can get Virginia. I only see them losing maybe 2 games. I think they can get to 10-2 and make it very interesting at the top of the ACC. At least that's what I'm hoping. I want to see a jumble up there at the top between Miami, SMU, Louisville, and Clemson, all of them vying for that position to play in that championship game. I think Clemson is going to go 10-2. I'm taking the over. At number 3, we got Louisville, and their over and under is 7.5 as well. And I think we're all pretty high on this Louisville team. We think that they're much better than a freaking 8-win season to do the over. But they got Ole Miss in Nashville. They got Georgia Tech. They got Kentucky. They got SMU. There are people out there who think these are 4 games that they're going to lose. Do you see them losing these 4 games and only getting to 8-4? And we're going to start with you post game.
Yeah, I see you put the chat up in on the screen, SEC Shine. I like this Louisville team, man. I really do. I've always been a fan of the Brown brothers. I think they really know the quarterback position. They're really good on offense, and their defense is always solid. And I expect that defense to be really good with AJ Green and Cleve Lubin coming off the edge for the Cardinals this year. I mean, they get leaking keyholes in the transfer portal from Ohio State. I think this is a guy who can mix in the pass and the run. I think they have one of the more dynamic running backs in the country in Isaac Brown. I like this Louisville team. I wouldn't be surprised if they outright won the ACC this year. Remember, they beat Miami last year on a Friday night. So I think they'll be a little bit, and I think this team is a little bit better. That Mississippi game at the beginning of the year to start the season is going to be really intriguing. I can't wait for that game. That's one of the games I have circled on the calendar. And then after that, SMU, definitely a player for the ACC championship game. But after that, I kind of like this schedule. It eases up a lot. I think Syracuse could be a tricky game for them. But outside of that, I think Louisville is going to get 9 to 10 wins.
Yeah. I tried to throw that poll up in there and see what happens. I got Louisville at 10-2. I actually think they lose to Ole Miss and SMU, and I think they pretty much run the table the rest of the season. So I've got them at 10-2. You said it post game. Their running backs. This team looks like it's built for this year. Is what it looks like in my mind. That's just how I see them. I think this is the year they've been aiming for. I think their schedule lays out perfectly, especially on the back half of that schedule. Gives you a chance. I don't want to say to rest people, but it gives you a chance to rest people that maybe got a little bit of a nick here, nick there. You can kind of monitor that a little better versus having the back half of your schedule loaded with all the top teams. So I've got 10-2 for Louisville.
Yeah, I think Louisville's going to be a really good football team this year. They got a really good contest in a neutral site against Ole Miss. That's going to tell us everything we need to know about Louisville. I think Louisville has a chance to really go 10-2, 9-3, and be right in the thick of things at the end. Their big matchup, though, against SMU is going to decide which one of these two teams are probably going to be in the running for playing in the ACC championship game. And I think the winner of that one might be able to squeeze into that game at the end of the season. And it's going to come down to those two. But I think Louisville is definitely going to do the over. I think they're going to get at least 8 wins. But I really feel like they can be a 9-3, 10-2 team and be right there at the end of the season. I really like the roster they have. I really like their running back, Isaac Brown. I like King Holst. I'm really anxious to see what he does with the Brown brothers. And I think Louisville has always been that team that, man, they be so good, and then they mess around and blow a game every single year that hurts their chances of making it to the championship game. We've seen it 2 years ago. We've seen it last year. Will they get over the hump and beat SMU when they face them to have themselves in position, if they do everything right, the rest of the season to propel themselves into that ACC championship game, or at least be in the discussion? That's what I'm looking forward to Louisville. But I think they definitely get to 8 wins.
Hey, Rob, before we get to SMU, can I say one thing?
Yes.
This was my favorite graphic I made, by the way. That's what I want to tell me what you think of this graphic, because this was my favorite one to make. So here it comes.
Okay. That is dope. That is dope, SEC Shaw. Listen, SMU, they really only got Louisville and Notre Dame on their schedule. They can finish this thing 10-2, 11-1 really easily. Their over and under is 8.5. I don't think there's anybody on the planet who doesn't see SMU getting at least 9 wins. And they've been the most consistent team in their 2 years in the ACC. Post game, what's your thoughts on SMU?
Yeah, that is a really dope graphic, SEC Sean. I like that a lot. SMU, man, Rhett Lashley has really done a great job with this program. I'll say that. But, I mean, I expect SMU to be contending for an ACC championship this year. Kevin Jennings is their key. I think last year he had a good year, but I think he could have had a better year. I think he's one of those guys at the quarterback position who wants to prove that he can step back in the pocket, drop back in the pocket, and sling the ball. And he definitely has a lot of arm talent. But I think to get the best version of Jennings, I think he's going to have to rely on his legs a little more than he did last year. I know he wants to prove he can pass the ball. Young man, you don't have nothing to prove to me. I see you throwing that ball and that laser accuracy you have. I think SMU is going to be Notre Dame. I think they'll lose to Notre Dame. They're at Notre Dame at the latter part of the year. Louisville is going to be a toss-up, but that's it. I think they can get to 10, 11 wins.
Yeah. I like this SMU team. You mentioned Jennings needs to use his legs post game. To me, if he looks just south of Dallas, down there towards another college with a quarterback that's dual threat, down in College Station, they both need to utilize their legs a little more, I think. But I've got SMU 11-1. I've got them beating everybody on their roster except Notre Dame. I just think traveling to Notre Dame is going to be. I'm not going to say Notre Dame's going to steamroll SMU because I don't think that either. I think SMU puts a game on them, but it's just different going up to Notre Dame and playing. So I could see them dropping that game. I've got them 11-1 in the ACC championship game.
Man, I think they're going 11-1 as well. I don't think they're losing to anybody outside of Notre Dame for sure. But Louisville could get them because they do got to travel to Louisville. And I've seen that stadium right off the highway going 71, getting to 65. I really like the fact that I think that these guys could possibly go 11-1. I only see them losing to Notre Dame. And I'm telling you right now, if they can get to 11-1, they will be the talk of the town in the ACC because this will be 3 years in a row, their first 3 years in the conference, where everybody in the country will have to say that SMU is the most consistent team in this conference. Now, Miami is back on the rise, and they're doing a fantastic job. But SMU right now is probably the talk of the town, especially if they make it to the ACC championship game 2 out of 3 years and finish the season 11-1, which is where I think they're going to be because I think they're going to go into Louisville, and Louisville going to have one of those brain farts like they've had the last couple of years as somebody comes in and beats them in their stadium in a big game that they need to win, and Louisville, again, doesn't get it done. And I got SMU going 11-1, smashing that over of 8.5. The last team we got, and they've been the number one team consensus out of all of us when it came to our ranking, the ACC, the Miami Hurricanes. Listen, their freaking win total over and under is 10.5. That's a lot. That means they got to go 11-1 to reach the over. But the only tough team that I feel like they got on their schedule is the Notre Dame Fighting Irish. And Notre Dame gets the top 2 teams in our prediction in this season. They get Miami and they get SMU. What's your thoughts on Miami? Can they go 11-1? Can they go 12-0? We're going to start with you, SEC Sean.
I don't think they can go 12-0. I mean they can, but I don't see it. I think they dropped to Notre Dame. I'm pretty sure the gentleman right above me on the screen has got something that that team might have that game circled. Notre Dame probably has that game pretty well circled. I don't see anybody else. Clemson's going to be tricky. What is Clemson? This is what's going to, we don't know yet. I don't see anybody else on that schedule that's going to give them problems. I think they're too good. Darian Mensah, Malachi Tony. I mean, we can go on and on and on and on with their, is it Mark Fletcher, their running back, I believe. I mean, this team's going to be good. Offensive line could be a question, but Notre Dame's the only thing I see them standing in their way from a perfect season. That's just my theory on it right there. I say 11-1 in the ACC title game against SMU.
Yeah, man. When you look at the moves Miami has made in the offseason, really exciting moves for that team. Getting Darian Mensah and Cooper Barcade over from Duke, I think that was money to pair with Malachi Tony and Mark Fletcher, that offense is going to be explosive. The offensive line is somewhat of a question because they have talent and depth on the offensive line. They just lost a lot of key starters. So will those younger guys be able to step in and fill those voids? As far as defense, I think Miami's going to be a monster again on defense. That defensive line is going to be outstanding again. And then you got Jason Taylor coaching those guys up. There's no way. But I wonder, when we talk about Darian Mensah, I wonder if he's going to have the same type of numbers he had at Duke. Because we got to remember, Darian Mensah was passing the ball a lot at Duke because they were down a lot. Is Miami going to be down a lot this upcoming season? I don't see it. I think they're going to run the ball a lot. Now, when you get to games like Clemson and Notre Dame, maybe Vatech, you might see them unleash that passing game big time, but I don't know. I think Mark Fletcher is going to have a really good year, and that defensive line is going to cause a lot of problems. I think they're pretty much a lock for 10 or 11 wins.
Yeah, they got to get to 11 wins in order for this over. And I really don't think that there's anybody on their schedule that beat them outside of Notre Dame. They got to travel to play the Golden Domers. And I think Miami has a really good chance to go at least 11-1. They have a possibility, the chance to go 12-0. I think that's going to be a phenomenal game between Miami and Notre Dame. And I really feel like the games we're going to see this year in the ACC, when you start talking about Miami, SMU, Louisville, Clemson, that we're really going to have a clear understanding of what this conference is at the top and who is actually the best team. And I think it's Miami. I think they go 11-1. They get the over. And I think they have an opportunity to make a really nice run, because whenever you play a team like Notre Dame, who we all feel like is definitely a top 5 team in the country, we definitely feel like offensively and defensively, they have a top 10 offense and a top 10 defense. And you can play a team like that to really measure where you are as a program and play in this season. That's going to work wonders for them, win or lose, when they get into the college football playoffs, which is where I think they will end up. I like this Miami team. I think they go 11-1, but I think Notre Dame beat them at home in South Bend. Post-game, I got a question for you. When this game takes place, is there going to be a lot of outside tailgating that if I came to South Bend and I couldn't get in the stadium, I will still be able to enjoy myself on the outside?
Yeah, that's going to all depend on the weather, my man. Because around that time in the Midwest, the weather becomes really unpredictable. So, I mean, for the Irish fans, regardless of the weather, they're going to be out there tailgating because they really, everybody's talking about this Miami game. They love the fact it's going to be at home in November for those Florida guys. So, I mean, it all depends on the weather, my man. But I got a question for y'all. When you talk about Notre Dame and Miami, could this possibly be for the number 1 overall ranking when we get to that part of the season?
Wow, that's a really good question.
It could be. It could be for number 1. But I think the only thing holding both of them back would be if you have an undefeated Big Ten or undefeated SEC team. I think they would get the nod. That's just my theory. If you have Oregon, say, go 12-0, or Texas or Georgia, or for God's sakes, A&M, I think one of those teams would probably be ahead of Notre Dame, Miami. But I'm not going to say that for a fact. But it would be close. Go ahead, Rob. But I got a question about. I haven't looked up their schedule, so I got a question for you post game after Rob answers that.
When do they play? What's the date of that game again? Post game?
think no, it's in November. The exact date, I'm not sure.
Yeah, I think it's late enough in the season that where at that point both of those teams will probably be undefeated. They will be somewhere near the top, and I think if those teams win, whoever wins that game, they will get the nod. I believe, in my opinion, to take over that number one spot because they will probably have the latest, nicest win, especially if both of them are undefeated. To go ahead and take over that number one spot. So I'm gonna say yes. If they're both undefeated when they play, I'm gonna say that they're gonna be the new number one that week. If either one of them is not already at the number one spot.
Do y'all expect, because the reason I asked that is because I expect this to be two top 5 teams entering the season. Once those polls are released, do y'all think they'll both be in the top 5?
I do.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
I may not need to ask you that question post game. I think I can pull it up. I'm trying to see.
I definitely. I just don't want Texas to be number one when the rankings open.
Yeah, it's looking like that's going to be either Ohio State or Oregon.
I hope so.
It looks to me more like it's going to be Oregon.
Oregon.
I think people are starting to catch on to what that team actually has over there.
Yeah.
Put Texas number one. They love it.
No, we don't. We thank everybody who out there in the chat who actually did our poll. If you're still in the chat, go ahead and type in the chat one of those numbers. Whether you think it'll be Miami, put in 1, SMU, put in 2. If you think it's going to be another team in the ACC to win it, put that number in there so that way we can make sure that our poll is working accurately. Because I think we on the channel have all put our vote in just to see how it's working. So if you can do it as well, that'll help us really understand how it's working. Also, SEC Sean, you said you had a question?
It was, I looked it up while y'all were talking. I thought Notre Dame got Miami, SMU back to back, but they don't. They have Miami, another game, and then SMU. Because I was thinking Miami, SMU back to back, that could be, that's a pretty good little 2-game stretch right there. But they've got a game in between. But I do have a question for both of you gentlemen and everybody in the chat that is willing to answer this for future references when we do, because I'm pretty sure next weekend's going to be SEC Big Ten.
Yep.
So would y'all prefer this graphic for the schedules, where it's just got like a stadium with the logo type thing up here, or this one, which has more of like a muscular type mascot with more colors on the home and away games?
I like that one better.
You like this style better?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I like the mascot.
I'll just know that from moving forward when I do the others that this style is what people would like. So, I want to give not only us on the hosts or the people talking, but I also want to give our good people over in the chat what they want to see. So now I'm going to go with this type from now on. So that's why I did 2 different styles, because I wanted to see what played better.
Yeah, we really appreciate you for doing that, SEC Sean. It turns out really magnificent, man, and we really appreciate you for that. Anything else y'all want to add before we wrap up?
Not me. Fellas, we're getting close. Tuesday, remember Tuesday, we're doing our top 10 cornerbacks. So everybody in the chat, tune in for that right there. So just want to give a shout out to everybody, and I appreciate it. And great show, fellas. The ACC is going to be fun. It was crazy last year, and I don't expect anything different this year.
For sure.
All right, y'all. Well, y'all have a good rest of y'all Sunday. We'll see y'all again on Tuesday at 7:45, Wednesday at 7:45, Thursday at 7:45, and again Saturday at 10 a.m. and on Sunday at 9 a.m. Please make sure you hit that notification bell so that you can get any notifications whenever we're going to go live, because we really appreciate your support and we thank you so very much. Everybody have a good rest of their day. And we out of here. Peace.